Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm excited for this. I hope that you are too. Man, we have got, as of my count right now, we've got 2,149 people registered for this webinar. So it's going to be a packed house today. I'm super excited to have you guys here and super excited to be teaching with you. If you could just, before we get started, let me know A, that you can hear me, and B, that you can see my screen. So you should be seeing a title slide right now. It has the title of this webinar as well as my name. And then once you do that, if you will also just drop a comment and let me know where you're tuning in from. So what part of the world you're tuning in from. I'm sure we'll have people from all over. Steve says yes to both. Laura says yes. John, sight and sound confirmed. Bob, yes to both. Stefan, Susan, Nathan, Deborah, Samantha, Wesley, Anna. Man, this is great. Nashville, Tennessee, New Zealand, Ecuador, France, Alaska, Houston, Texas, Canada, Olympia, Washington, Scotland, Switzerland, New Zealand, Ohio State, California, Australia, Dubai, Dublin, North Carolina. Wow, this is great. I'm from South Carolina. Oh, Alabama. Hey, Alabama, I'm wearing my Clemson shirt today. Too soon. You guys beat us last year, I was at that game, and that was heartbreaking. And so this year went a little bit better. From William, Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Moscow, Russia, British Columbia. Awesome. Man, we've got a packed house. A packed house. Well, welcome, guys. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. So my name's Chandler Bolt. Today on this webinar, I'm going to teach you how to go from blank page to published author in 90 days and how to use your book to grow a six-figure income. Now, I've got a couple of requests right off the bat. So first things first, I'm going to be moving very, very quickly. We've got a packed house here. There's going to be a ton of questions, and I'm going to be covering a lot, okay? So I asked two things right off the bat. One is that you take out something to take notes with. So a pen and paper, preferably, so that you can take some notes, because I'm going to be teaching a lot, and I want to make sure that you don't miss anything. And secondly, I ask that you close out any other distractions that you might have. So whether this is your email, your Facebook, put down your phone, turn off the notifications, everything. I want 100% of your attention, because if you're going to show up, then you might as well pay attention, because you're going to learn something that you can really use in your life. And I want to make sure that you don't miss something just because you're checking your phone or something like that. Okay. So if you'll agree to do that, I'll agree to make this very entertaining and very informative. And we're going to have a lot of fun over this next hour. So first things first, I want to tell you guys a story. So I want to tell you about my friend Kendall. Now, 2 years ago, I went on a cruise with a company called Student Painters. Every year, they take their top performers on a cruise. And this was Kendall. He was one of the managers. I used to be one of the managers there at that company. And this is us at dinner on that cruise. Now, this particular cruise, we're going to the Bahamas on a Carnival cruise ship. Really fun time. We have a fun weekend. We're in the Bahamas. We're on the ship. We're having a good time. They're also giving away awards. So these are all the top performers from the company. There's, I want to say 120 or so of us on this cruise ship from the company, and they're giving away awards at their rewards banquet. Now, every year we have this celebratory part of the cruise where a few of us will go up on the highest point of the cruise ship. Now, it's kind of a part where we go up on the highest part of the cruise ship. We're on top of the world, both with this company, with this cruise, with life. This is just it's very symbolic. And so this was the last night of the cruise, and a few of us climb up there, and we get up there, and we're talking goals, we're talking dreams, we're talking plans, things like that. And I'm talking to my friend to my right, and then I hear something. There's 5 of us up there, and I hear something. I turn to my left, and right about the time that I turned to my left, that's because I heard something, and I see this propeller starts to spin. So this thing starts to spin. Now, I'm right here, if you can see my cursor. My buddy Christian's right here. My buddy Kendall's right here. And on the other side, I have a couple friends there. So I'm standing right here, and I see this thing swing around, and then I see, boom, it hit my buddy Kendall right in the chest, and it swept him over the railing. He fell 2 stories. He fell down. I watched him fall down, and he landed on his head. Now, at this point, I'm standing, kind of right here, and I see the thing swing, and it barely misses me. And I look down, and it's one of those things where I looked down, and I thought for a second, Kendall, he might be a little bit hurt, but he'll definitely be okay. And I looked down, and he wasn't moving. Now at this point, I started to panic, and that's when my friend Christian, he yelled out. He said, "Somebody get some help!" And I started to scale down. So I scaled down these steps, and I scaled all the way down and jumped down, and I get down there. He still wasn't moving. Now at this point, I roll him over. I'm trying to get him conscious. I'm trying to get him coherent, and minutes pass. We call the paramedics. Still nothing. I'm there. A crowd starts to gather. Now they start to gather and look at me to do something, but I don't know what to do. I'm not a trained paramedic. I'm just trying to get him coherent with us, and so I'm trying to do that, and eventually the paramedics come about 10 minutes later, and they take Kendall and they take him down to the mini hospital, the nursing room, and basically on the ship. And they take him down. They rush the ship into port. We go into port, and they rush him off the ship. And about that time, when they rush him off this ship, we get a phone call, and we find out that Kendall passed away on the way to the hospital. Now, Kendall was 20 years old. The night before Kendall passed away, we were talking about his 5-year dreams, his 5-year plan, and all the things that he wanted to accomplish. Now, as soon as I turned my phone on, I look down on my phone, and I see a bunch of texts come in, all these texts. And that's when I found out that weekend my grandma had also passed away. Now, as you can imagine, this is the article here from where Kendall passed away. As you can imagine, this is a life-shaping event. Now, I don't know if you've lost someone close to you, be it a friend or a family member, but it's something that when it happens, it'll change your life forever, and you'll never be the same. Now, I remember the week after Kendall passed away, it was after his funeral, and I was talking with his dad, Bob. Now, Bob is just a great, great guy. And we were talking, and we're both just crying, and I'm talking to him, and he said, Kendall was my only son. He was the family name, and I'm old. I can't have more kids. He said, the only thing that can come out of this, the only good that can come out of this, is if other people's lives are positively impacted by this happening. And that just kind of hit me. It hit me hard. And it made me think about my life, and it made me ask 2 important questions. Now, number 1 is, if I were to pass away tomorrow, would I be happy with the life that I lived? The answer was no. The second question that I ask is, what am I doing about it right now? So what am I doing to make the world a better place? And when I came to this realization, I kind of, especially when I heard his dad say, hey, the only good that can come out of this is if other people's lives are positively impacted. I said, I'm going to take it upon myself to make him proud. Now, that's why I have this bracelet. You see a picture of it there. I'm wearing it right now, is to make him proud and to really live out his legacy. Now, the silver lining here, and one thing that happened is a couple months after Kendall passed away, I found out that he had written a book. So he had attended a random webinar just like this one, and he had actually written a book. And with the help of his friends, we were able to get his book published after he passed away. So his legacy lives on with this book. Now, I tell you this story because I'm a firm believer in starting with why. And this is why I do what I do. This is why I believe that this information that I'm going to be teaching you today is so valuable. Okay? Now I'm going to dive in here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chandler Bolt. I'm from a little bitty town called Walhalla, South Carolina. I'm the author of 6 best-selling books, which I wrote the first one at age 19. I made 100,000 plus off of just one of my books, taught thousands of people to write and publish their first book through my program, Self-Publishing School. And all this despite being a C- English student. So I'm here to tell you, if I can do this, you definitely can too. Now, I would be a bad brother if I didn't mention this. This is a fun fact, not something that not a lot of people know about me, is that my brother plays in the rock and roll band Need to Breathe. So if we have any Need to Breathe fans in the house, he's the one on the left there. And this is actually a picture of my family. This is my mom and my dad and my brother, and this is actually taken at Red Rocks in Colorado. So if we have any people in Colorado, this is when they played Red Rocks. So on this webinar today, I'm going to teach you 3 lessons. Lesson number 1 is how to quickly and easily write your book in a weekend, even if you're working 2 jobs and raising 4 kids. Lesson number 2 is how to successfully launch your book, make it a bestseller, and bring in passive income without a list, audience, or any marketing skills. And then lesson number 3 is 7 ways to create a 6-figure income and a 7-figure business with your book. Now, this is how this is going to work. It's going to be about an hour of content. And then I'm going to open it up for 30 minutes for a Q&A, okay? So we'll go for an hour and a half today, and you'll be able to ask any questions that you have at the end of this, okay? Now, towards the end, I'm going to share with you some info on my premium training program called Self-Publishing School. I'm going to take a few minutes at the end of this to tell you about that after I get done teaching you a bunch of good stuff, and then I have something real special that I think you'll like. So, oh, and I saw Michelle says, yes, Testify is one of my favorite songs. Cool. So my promise today is if you follow what I teach on this webinar and take action, you'll go from blank page to published author in less than 90 days, and you'll have a book that's bringing in income, and that will change your life, your income, and your business. And I want to start this webinar by busting a few myths, because when it comes to writing a book, there are tons of myths and excuses for why you haven't done it yet. I'm going to break them down in the top 7 and bust them one by one. Now, a lot of people think I need to be a good writer or the next Hemingway to write a book. Well, I'll tell you a quick story here. This is Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he was talking with a journalist, and the journalist was asking, she said, you know, Robert, I want to be a successful author like you. What do I need to do? He said, well, I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to learn the skill of sales. And she said, Robert, you know, I went to school for writing. I have a PhD. I'm an acclaimed journalist, all these things. I'm sorry, but I don't like that. I don't think I need to do that. And that seems like bad advice. And he said, okay, look at the bottom of that book. What does it say? And she said, New York Times best-selling author. And he said, exactly. He said, it's best-selling author, not best writing author. You're a great writer. I'm a terrible one. The difference is that I know how to sell. You're one skill away from great wealth. So that's busting book writing myth number 1. Now, number 2 is when people think about writing a book, they go through this whole imposter syndrome, where they think about like, oh, who am I to do this? Well, the good news is you don't have to be an expert or a celebrity to write a good book, because we all have unique abilities, stories, and experiences to share with the world. Myth number 3, I need a publisher. If you're thinking to yourself, oh, I just want to get my book in Barnes & Noble, or I want a publisher, well, I've got news for you. Traditional publishing is dead. Self-publishing is the new norm. And I'll tell you why. Well, with traditional publishing, it takes 2 years to publish your book. They're going to keep almost all of the profits, so you make pennies on the dollar. You get stripped of your creative liberties and control. They're going to do 0 marketing for your book. This is a common misconception. People think they'll pass it off to the publisher, and the publisher is just going to, do the marketing for them. That's not true. Myth number 4, writing and publishing a book is expensive. Well, if you're going the traditional publishing route, it definitely is. If you go the vanity or the hybrid publishing route, it's going to cost you. You can see the figures on the screen. And if you go the self-publishing route and you're inexperienced, then it's also going to cost you. Okay, if you don't know what you're doing and if you don't apply the things that I'm teaching in this webinar, it's going to cost you at least $3 to $5 grand. And a lot of people pay this because they don't know that there's a better way. Now, I'm here to tell you that if you're experienced and you know where to look and what you're looking for, then you can get your book published for as little as a few $100. I bootstrapped my first book for, I think it was like $200, all in on my publishing cost. Okay, so it's definitely not expensive. Myth number 5 is that books don't make money anymore. Well, this is my friend Hal Elrod. Some of you may be here because of Hal Elrod. He makes over $25,000 a month from his self-published book, The Miracle Morning, which is one of my favorite books of all time. My book, The Productive Person, which I'm going to be teaching you a marketing case study on this a little bit later, it made close to $7,000 in the first month, continued to make thousands of dollars a month in passive income. This was all with no audience. Okay, myth number 6 is I need a book title and I need a ton of content before I get started. Well, the good news is that your book doesn't need to be fully fleshed out before you start, and you definitely do not need to create a title for your book before you start writing. So many people think that you have to have a title. You do not need to do that, okay? Myth number 7 is I don't have enough time or the timing isn't right. Well, the good news is that you can write your book in an afternoon or for a month at 30 minutes a day, okay? So you can either write it in an afternoon, you can write it in a weekend, or you can chip away at it over the course of a month using 30 minutes to an hour a day. I'm going to show you how to do that in this webinar. Now, debunking this final myth, this is the legendary Zig Ziglar. He says, if you wait for all the lights to turn green before leaving home, you'll never get started on your way to the top. So the timing is never going to be right to start and finish your book. Everyone thinks there's going to be this magic yellow brick road that appears in front of them where they have no kids, no job, no responsibilities, and they have nothing but time to write their book. And that is just simply not the case. You're going to have to get started before you're ready, okay? You're going to have to make the jump before you're ready. So my question for you, and if you'll respond to in the chat box and let me know, is can you suspend these doubts, myths, and excuses at least for the length of this webinar? Yes or no? Because if you can't, nothing that I teach you from here on out is going to make sense. You'll say, oh man, that might work for you, but it would never work for me. And if you can't suspend these doubts and myths, at least for the length of this webinar, then you might as well just hop off now. Yes, 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 yes. Done. Yep, heck yes. Oh yes. Yes, yes, yep. Awesome. Sure. I'll try, says Janet. Yes, I can. Already suspended. I'm ready. Perfect. So we're going to dive into lesson number 1. Take a quick sip of water here. So this is how to quickly and easily write your book in a weekend, and do it even if you're working 2 jobs and raising 4 kids. Now, before I wrote my first book, I was in school and English teachers hated me. Now, you may or may not know this, but I'm a college dropout and I'm a C-level English student. English was my least favorite subject. I hated it. I was a horrible writer and not any good at it. So I like to think that my teachers just had fun marking up my papers with red ink and then handing them back to me. I hated writing. This was me when I had to write a paper. This is not literally me, but this might as well be me, because while my friends, they could churn out a paper in 2 to 3 hours at the most, and it would be a 3 to 5 page paper. I would be up all night. Now, their paper that they did in 2 hours, they'd turn it in and get an A. Excuse me, my paper that I did all night, I'd turn it in and get a C or a D. So it just did not come easy. So as you can imagine, when I decided to write my first book, I did what I'm a firm believer in, which is if you want to do something, learn from someone who's done what you want to do. So I talked to a mentor and he turned me on to mind mapping. Now, if you've seen any of my training, maybe you've heard this concept, but I'm going to go into it and I'm going to teach you how to do it. So a mind map is simply a brain dump. You're looking at a mind map right now. Okay, now I'm going to actually walk you through how to create a mind map, and then you're going to get one created today. So you'll be on your way to finishing. You'll be on your way to finishing your book. So there's a few steps to creating a mind map. First is to get out a blank sheet of paper, preferably printer paper, because that doesn't have any lines or anything like that. And you're going to write your book topic in the middle of the page. Okay, now this could be your passion, this could be your hobby, it could be what you do for work, it could be the thing that you just talk about all the time, it could be lessons that you've learned over years of experience, whether that be in a hobby or in an occupation, or maybe even you've had a friend tell you you should write a book about that. Okay, it's that thing. And you're going to write that in the middle of the page. Now, next up, what you're going to do is you're going to write out everything that you know about that topic. So this is where you start to branch out of the mind map. So this is going to be, any stories that you have, examples that you have, lessons that you've learned, books that you've read, ideas that you have, anything that you can think of, you're going to write that out on the paper. Now, this is where you're going to take 15 to 20 minutes to write out everything that you can possibly think of. Don't filter anything. You're just going to keep going and going and going and going. Now, what usually happens here is people come into this process. They tell me, Chandler, I have something that I can maybe write 5 to 10 pages about. And they come out the other side, and then they come back to me and they say, wow, Chandler, I have 2 to 3 books that I can write. I just have to figure out which one to write first. Now, once you complete your brain dump, which normally I would have, when I'm giving this presentation live in front of a group of people, like on a stage, I'll take 5 minutes to have you do this. But for time's sake, I'm going to trust that you will do this immediately after we finish this webinar, okay? Because this is very important, is to complete this mind map. But step 3, once you write out everything you know, you're going to start to organize those ideas into themes or groups of ideas. Okay, so you're going to organize those things into common sections. That's going to pull together 4 to 7 sections that you can cover in your book. Now all you have to do is organize those sections in the order that you would cover them in the book. Okay, so now you've got these 4 to 7 sections. They're organized in order of how you would cover them in the book. And then you're going to use those sections to form your outline. So this is a 3-step process that I teach. It's called the mind map, outline, write approach. Okay, so you're going to do your mind map. You organize those ideas into 4 to 7 groups or sections. Then you organize those in order. Then you're actually going to drill down into each section with 2 to 3 chapters per section. Okay, now you actually have your chapter by chapter roadmap, and the book practically writes itself. Okay, because you've got exactly what you need to write about. And then what you're going to do, once you've completed these steps, so I'll recap, write your book topic in the middle of the page, do the brain dump, organize the common topics into groups or sections, and then use those sections to form your outline. Then you're going to repeat this process chapter by chapter by chapter, okay? So you're going to, let's take chapter 1. You're going to spend 10 minutes mind mapping everything you know about that chapter, 10 minutes turning that mind map into an outline. And then you're going to spend 45 minutes actually writing the chapter. This is the exact process that I used to write my first book in a week. And that book was 225 pages. Now this is from Hannah Latonic. She said, originally I despised mind maps. Now I love mind mapping. I can see my book come to life without yet writing a single word of it. I went from 0 to 13,000 words in 2 weeks by first mind mapping and outlining. So I can tell you that this works. This definitely works. Now, this gets even better. Because if you're like me and you speak better than you write, then you might be interested in this. Because for one of my recent books, I didn't do any writing. I just spoke the book into my phone and then tweaked it. And this book has brought in thousands of dollars and leads month after month after month. So I'm going to introduce you to the power of dictation. Now, if you don't know what dictation is, it's simply recording yourself speaking and then having that transcribed. Because the truth is most of us speak faster than we type. You can capture your ideas and write your book much, 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 much faster by speaking it than if you were writing it. Okay, so here's how to speak your book. It's very, very, very simple. So you're going to do that whole mind map and outline portion that I just taught you, but then chapter by chapter, you're going to follow this 3-step process. So you'll mind map and outline the chapter. Then step 1 is you're going to speak it. So you'll spend 8 to 10 minutes speaking the chapter. Then you're going to get it transcribed. So there's tons of free software. There's Dragon Dictation. There is, this is a paid software, but the Rev app, or rev.com, R-E-V. It's paid transcription. It costs $1 per minute. But it's an actual human, and they'll transcribe that and send it back to you. And so they'll do that within 24 hours. That's pretty helpful. So that's step 2, is to get it transcribed. Then step 3 is to polish it off. Okay, this is where a good editor is worth their weight in gold. Okay, I always like to say that good editors turn my 3rd grade papers into best-selling books, because I'm still not the best writer. but I can pass off my writing to an editor and they can really, really make it good. Like I saw someone a second ago said, just read your book published. You know, I feel like that's a really good book, and it's a testament to really good editors. Okay, so that's how to speak your book in 3 steps. Now, a lot of people ask how fast can I get a rough draft completed? Because I'm short on time. I'm working a job. I have a lot of demands on my time. Well, the ideal length of a book is 40 to 75 Word doc pages. That's about 15,000 to 25,000 words. Now, this is for a mid-sized nonfiction book. Fiction books will be a little bit longer than this. Now, the average person speaks about 150 words a minute. So that means you can easily speak your book in as little as 1 hour and 40 minutes or 2 hours and 47 minutes, okay? So anywhere in that time frame, you can speak your book, you can have a rough draft and know it's not gonna be ready to print, but you've got something, right? Like you've got a lot to work with, and you can massage that draft and turn it into something really good. So this is Pat Flynn of Smart Passive Income. He used this process, this speaking process, and he said, I've been able to flow much better with my voice than I am with my keyboard. I have thousands of words that are coming out through each of these sessions through dictation. This is Ray Edwards. He said, I believe we're in an age where it's so easy to dictate and get that turned into type that I don't know why anyone would do it any other way. When I first heard about this method, I wrote 2 books in 1 weekend. That's pretty remarkable. So that's lesson 1. Are you guys tracking with me so far? You guys getting this? We're moving fast. We're about to move into lesson number 2 and have some fun with the marketing. Love it. Yes, yes, yes. Yep. That's amazing. I've dictated using Evernote. Yep. Sounds great. So far, so good. I'm loving it. Ba-da-ba. All right. Lesson number 2. This is how to successfully launch your book, make it a bestseller, and make passive income from your book without a list, audience, or any marketing skills. Now, I want to tell you about the shotgun versus the rifle approach. Now, if you know anything about a shotgun, you know that when you shoot a shotgun, it has a bunch of little BBs or pellets in the shell casing. And when you shoot it, it kind of spreads out everywhere. It looks like the image on the left-hand side here. And if you know anything about a rifle, you know that when you shoot a rifle, it has a singular bullet and a long barrel, and rifles are known for traveling long distances and being extremely accurate. Now, you may be asking yourself right now, Chandler, look, I know you're from South Carolina, but why are we talking about guns, and what does this have to do with book marketing? So I'll tell you what, when it comes to marketing, most people try the shotgun approach. So they try everything. They spread themselves way too thin. You've heard the saying, jack of all trades, master of none. That's what happens. You know, you hear about Snapchat with Gary Vee, and you're like, okay, I'm going to try Snapchat. You hear someone say, oh, you need to build an email list. So you start building an email list. Then somebody else is telling you that you need to blog. So you start to blog. Then somebody else is telling you that you need to do Facebook ads. So you start to do Facebook ads. And pretty soon you're burnout and nothing works because you're spreading yourself way too thin. So I want to teach you about the Pareto principle. This is the 80-20 principle, which says that 80% of your results are going to come from 20% of your efforts. Okay, so that's the rifle approach, is focusing in on those 20% of things that are going to really move the needle. The lesson here is that less is more. You're going to get much further by focusing on those few things that move the needle. So I want to give you a couple case studies, couple examples. So my first book, The Productive Person, reached #1 in all of Amazon for time management. Okay, this dethroned Getting Things Done, the legendary time management book, for #1 on all of Amazon. And this was when I realized the power of this material that I'm about to teach you. So I was studying abroad in Austria. This is me. I was snowboarding. I love to snowboard. And this was right as I was dropping out of school. And I published the book, The Productive Person. I remember being on this ski lift. So if you can see the little ski lift on the right-hand side here, I was on the ski lift and I was going up to the top of the mountain. And I'm going up to the top of the mountain. My friend said, Chandler, I hear your book's doing well. that's awesome. I hear that the launch is going great, but is it actually making money? I heard that books don't make any money. And I thought for a second and I said, you know what? As we went snowboarding yesterday, and as we were snowboarding, the book made over $400. And it's as if, as I said that, as those words came out of my mouth, I realized what had just happened, right? I was making passive income. This was this mystical thing that I didn't think existed, but it does exist. And I had just made $400. Now, to answer his question, did the book make any money? Well, in month one, that book made $6,639.84. Month two, it brought in $4,400. Month three, $3,100. Month four, $2,500. Month five, $3,400. And the book kept bringing in passive income month after month after month. The Productive Person, this is my first book. I had no audience, no list, no credibility. I was a 19-year-old college student. And this book started selling 80, 100, and then 170 copies per day. That's when I realized this wasn't just my mom, my grandma, and my family buying it anymore. This is real people around the world, and my message was having an impact. Not only that, but because of my book, I started getting interviewed for top podcasts. I got featured on the Huffington Post, featured on Business Insider, all of these popular online publications. I got offered a 6 to 7 figure digital publishing deal. I built a 4,000 person email list just off of this book. And I'm going to show you how I did that in just a second. Not only that, but I was able to start a business on the back end. And this is the big one. My book finally gave me confidence in what I was doing. Okay. It gave me confidence to take on bigger projects. Now, I don't know if you've ever felt this, but when you try to strike out on your own with a side business, it can be demoralizing. You know, you just fail and then you fail and then you fail and then you fail again. In the middle of a failure, you have another failure. And eventually you start to think to yourself, man, at least this was the way it was for me. I said, gosh, am I the only idiot that just can't figure this out? Like, this is tough. This is frustrating. So when I finally had success with my book, it gave me confidence in what I was doing. And it gave me confidence to take on bigger projects. So I want to introduce you to the power of Amazon because when we're talking about 80-20, I'm going to zoom in on Amazon a little bit here. Now, the good thing about Amazon is that you don't need an audience because Amazon has built this audience for you. There's an ecosystem with over 100 million buyers. Not only that, but they've got the magic of one-click purchases, which I know you've experienced this, where you're in the waiting room, you're at the airport, you're at the doctor's office, in your living room, or you're sitting on the toilet, and you're just buying stuff on Amazon, right? A lot of people, they're on their phone, they're on their iPad just buying things. So that's a really good news for you as a published author on Amazon. And more good news is that you don't need a website like you used to. You don't need distribution, and you definitely don't need a publisher. I like to say that Google is a search engine of browsers. Amazon is a search engine of buyers. So while everyone else is focusing on Google and SEO and all those things, you've got this ecosystem of over 100 million buyers inside Amazon. And those people, they go to Amazon for one reason and one reason only, and that's to buy stuff. Now, this is a huge opportunity for you as an author, right? Because you've got access to this ecosystem where people are already showing up. You just have to get in front of them. So I'm gonna share 4 marketing tips with you right now. My first one, spoiler alert, is what I was just talking about. Focus only on Amazon, at least at first. There's a stat that says over 70% of all book sales, period, come from Amazon. Think about that for a second. Over 70% of all books purchased are purchased on Amazon. So if we're talking 80-20, if we're talking Pareto principle, we're going to focus in on Amazon. Tip number 2 is to be clear and specific with the positioning of your book. So many people, they try to be broad. They tell me, Chandler, I want to write a book and it's going to be how to live your life, find your passion, and have an extraordinary life. Well, when I hear that, I don't know what that book's about. You need to be specific, you need to be clear, and you need to zoom in on exactly the person that you're talking to. This is the biggest piece of advice that I can give when it comes to marketing, is know who you're talking to and then speak directly to them. So is that your cousin Ann? Is she the target demo for this book? Is this a coworker? Who is that? Talk specifically to them. So I'll give you an example. With The Productive Person, it was productivity hacks and schedules for entrepreneurs who control their own schedule and struggle with work-life balance. Okay, I know exactly who I'm talking to with that book. And that's the reason this book was so successful, is because while everyone else is writing general time management books, I'm saying, hey, entrepreneur, are you having a hard time with your work-life balance? Are you creating your own schedule and you just don't know how to do that? Here, this book will help you. So I'm very clear, I'm very specific. Number 3 is to get a good looking cover. This is very important. I'm amazed at how many people will spend so much time creating a great book, and then they'll spend 5 minutes and $5 on a cover. The fact of the matter is, people judge a book by its cover. You have to get a good selling cover. This is something that will pop on Amazon. Okay, so when people are browsing through the Amazon store, it jumps out at them. It gets their attention. If you want to see some examples, just look at some of my books. So Book Launch, that's an example. That cover pops. Published, it's another example. The title and the subtitle and my name, they always pop off the cover. Now, the 4th tip is to get as many reviews as possible. As many reviews as possible. And I'll show you how to do this. I'm going to give you a bonus tip here, which if you've been on the site, I've got an article about this, or if you've seen any of my other video training, then maybe you've heard a little bit about this, but this is about creating a launch team. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the term, a launch team is simply a small group of people who will support your book. Okay, this is a small group of people. It could be friends, it could be colleagues, co-workers, the mom at your son's t-ball practice. This could be people at your church, people in community groups that you're a part of, anyone that you know who might want to support you or might want to support the cause of your book. Now, you're going to put together this launch team, and there's 2 sides of it. There's what they'll agree to do, and then there's what they're going to get in return, okay? So when you ask people to be on your launch team, they're agreeing to read your book ahead of time. They'll leave a review when it comes out, and they're going to share their book with friends, share your book with friends. Okay, so they're going to support the launch, right? My launch team members have gotten me on TV, they've gotten me on radio, they've gotten me PR, all kinds of PR, all kinds of stuff like that, okay? So that's what they're going to agree to do. What they get in return, what's in it for them, they get a free digital copy of the book. They'll get to see the behind the scenes of the book launch. They'll be a part of something special, and they'll be around like-minded people, okay? Now, the last thing that I like to do is I like to put their name in the book. People love this. I put their name in the book and give them recognition there. So that's the launch team. Now, the good news is, so say your launch team is 20 people. Now you've got 20 reviews on launch day of your book. You've got 20 people sharing your book on launch day. This makes a huge difference. We just did this for my book Published, and it really, I think we capped it out at about 100 people on the launch team. You definitely don't need that many people for it to be successful, but this makes a huge difference, and this definitely moves the needle. Now, what happens when you follow these steps? Well, I'll give you an example. This is one of my recent books, Book Launch. I launched it using the exact methods that I just taught you. I focused on Amazon. I created a good cover. You see Book Launch pops. This color is orange, which in itself pops. It really stands out. So you can see the results here. This is within the first 55 days. The book brought in 3,334 leads for my business, and it brought in $92,228.50 for my business. This is not even counting the thousands and thousands of dollars in book royalties that I got from this book and that I still get from this book. This is just the back-end book sale. So you can see this is very, very powerful. Also, because of this book, I was able to land on Business Insider. This is the homepage of the Your Money section. Okay, this article, it went semi-viral. I think right now it's got 80,000 something hits on this article. And it talks about how I was dropping out of school, how self-publishing school, my business is happening, how we're disrupting the publishing industry, all of those things. Pretty cool, huh? Now, you guys tracking with me so far? We're moving into lesson number 3. We're in the home stretch. I'm going to make sure this is making sense to everyone. All right. Shayna, I read that article last year. Awesome. Yes, 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 yes. Awesome. Sounds good. Perfect. So lesson number 3. This is 7 ways to create a 6-figure income and a 7-figure business with your book. This is the fun part, right? This is where we actually get to turn this book into income and turn this book into a business. So I'm going to walk you through the 7 ways to create a 6-figure income with your book. So number 1 is passive income from book royalties. Some people think that books don't make money anymore. That's mostly people who traditionally publish. I'll give you some examples here. This is from Otakara Kletke. She said before she published her book and before she had a book, she was working 2 jobs to make ends meet. She said, my entire income had to be earned actively. So you know the drill. You trade hours for dollars. You work a couple hours, you get paid for a couple hours. But she went through our program. She published her book. And through that, she doubled her income. This was all passive income from her books. She quit both of her jobs, and she was able to homeschool her daughter. So she was able to come back home, homeschool her daughter through her book. I'll give you another example. This is from Lise Cartwright. So if we have any freelancers in the house, before going through this and publishing her book, she traded her hours for dollars as a freelancer. She spent months trying to figure it out. Afterwards, she became a best-selling author. She made $12,424.03 in book royalties. This was within the first few months. Add in some book-related income, that brings her up to over $18,000. And I asked her, Lise, how much are you making a month? And she said, I'm making about $3,000 to $4,000 a month in passive income. This is for the fiction folks in the crowd. Steve Windsor, he said, I produced more in a week than the past 6 months. So before he went through our program, before he published his book, he dreamed of being an author, but he never stuck with it. Afterwards, he became a best-selling author multiple times, brought in some good book revenue. I asked him, how much money are you making a month? He said $3,000 a month in passive income. So that's the first way to really leverage this book and to create a 6-figure income off of the book is through the royalties from the book itself. Now, the second way, and I think you'll really like this, this is leads and sales for your business. Now, this works whether you have a brick and mortar business or whether you have an online business. And I'll show you exactly how I do this. This is a ninja trick that just works really, really, really well. Okay, so this is what I do. A lot of people, because Amazon does not give you the customer's email address. So what I do is, I give them something in return for their email address. Now, a lot of people do this. The difference is most people do it wrong. They try to give a PDF or some kind of checklist. You've seen this. You open up a book and it's like, get my 77-step checklist to blah, 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 right? Not interested, because think about it. What's the last thing that you want to do when you start to read a book? Read the book. Like, I don't want to read something else, much less read your book. I would rather just listen to this on audio. So that's what I do. And I found that 2 things work really well here. One is video, one is audio. So here's what I do. You see this look inside thing on the left-hand side? Every book has this. So on the left-hand side there, you see right above my cover, it says look inside. So what I do, the customer will click that and they can scroll into the book. Now, Amazon lets you view the first 10% of the book. So what I do is I say, hey, here's a free audiobook. Click here to download it. Now, when they click here, they go to my website. They give me their email address, and now they get the audiobook for free. Now, this is really cool because if you're trying to use a book to grow your business, I literally get thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of leads all the time through my books. And the reason being, people not only can do it once they buy the book, but as you've seen here, they can look inside and they can get the audiobook without actually buying the book. Now, for me as a business owner, this is huge, because I know that lead is worth way more than the couple of bucks that I would have earned if they would have bought my book, right? So it's very, very powerful. And guess what? Oftentimes they end up going to buy my book anyway because they feel so happy that I just gave them the audiobook for free. So this is a great way to drive leads from your book. Now, we did this with John Lee Dumas's book from Entrepreneur on Fire, his book podcast launch. And here's what happened. Before, he had an existing book on Amazon. It was bringing in 0, maybe 1 lead per day. We added this to his book. He started bringing in 5 to 10 leads per day, which equated to an extra $600 to $1,200 a day for his business, Podcaster's Paradise. So you can see that this really does work to drive leads and sales for your business. Now here's way number 7. If you have any done with you or done for you services, the best way to increase leads for those services, and especially to close more deals, is to have the credibility and the authority of your book. Okay, so if you're a real estate agent, if you're a financial advisor, anyone that is a knowledge worker that gets paid for what's up in your head, then you're going to want to add a book to your repertoire. I'll give you a couple examples. This is David McKay. He runs a photography business called McKay Photography. So here are the results he got with his book. So he's a past student of ours. He brought in, and he said this is exactly 1 year to the day. Okay, his book has brought in over $10,000 in revenue. And when it comes to business revenue, it generated his books, because he wrote multiple ones in a short period of time. They brought in $45,655 in business directly from his books. And the best part is he gets 30 to 40 leads per week for his brick and mortar done with you business. Okay, is a service that he offers. Pretty cool. How about consulting? Okay, so if you're a consultant, this is huge. This is Steve Darr. He said, I'm starting to quote potential clients 3 times the amount that I used to. Before, he struggled to get clients to pay him what he was worth. He had no passive income, no book royalties. 4 months later, 4 months after he wrote and published his book, he had $1,500 in royalties from his book, so not too shabby. And best of all, he had $17,000 in client work directly from his book. He was able to triple his rates and clients come to him. So that's consulting. If you want to add consulting, that's another way to leverage your book to get to 6 figures or even a 7-figure business. How about speaking? Any speakers in the house, or any aspiring speakers in the house? This is the 5th way. So I'll give you a couple examples here. This is from Hannah Latonic. She made $3,000 from her first speaking gig. So she wrote and published a book called Master Your Money. Then within a few months, so she joined the program. It took her, I want to say 3, maybe 4 months to write and publish her book. Then like a month later, she got a speaking gig for $3,000. Okay, pretty cool. This is from Kelsey Humphreys. Clients and speaking gigs within 6 months. So she published her book, Go Solo, brought in thousands of dollars from clients and speaking gigs within 6 months. This is what's really neat. She even got Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank to endorse her book. She writes for Entrepreneur Magazine, and now she runs a talk show called The Pursuit. It's all spun out of her book. So speaking is a great way to leverage your book. Also, books are a great way to make more money as a speaker. Now here's number 6, individual or group coaching. Yeah, it looks like we got a few speakers in the house. Yes, right here. Yes, I'm a public speaker. Awesome. It's a great way. Individual and group coaching. So this is Azul Terrones. He was a student in one of our very first programs. He wrote his book, The Art of Apprenticeship. Now, he worked as an English teacher, and then he published his book, and now he's a writing coach. So he coaches Pat Flynn of Smart Passive Income, and he actually coached Pat through writing and launching his book, Will It Fly? So if you're looking to become a coach or to do coaching, whether it's income on the side or to replace your income or to replace your job, this is a great way to do it. This is Emily Rose. She wrote and published her book, Break Your Bad Love Habits. So she's got a relationship coaching business. That business currently makes $10,000 per month, okay? And that business comes off of her book. That's an authority piece for her. And here's the kicker. She only works 6 hours per week with clients, okay? So if you're looking to kickstart a coaching business so that you can either quit your job or just simply make more money, this is a great way to do it. And Emily's a great proof of that. Now that brings me to number 7, which is digital products and courses. Now, obviously I've done this myself, and I've used books to, drive thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of leads for my business. I went from all of my bank accounts negative to $1.32 million in business in 11 months. We did about $2.2 million last year. We'll do at least $5, if not $6 million this year. So books have turned into courses for me. I'll give you another example. This is from Dave Rogan Moser. So he went from 0 to $1 million business, and I'll show you this. So he wrote and published his book, Beyond the Grind. The book brought in $3,864 in royalties within 60 days. So he was able to get some quick cash. And then he used that book email list. So he built an email list off of his book, just like I taught you. And he used that to launch his course. Now that course brought in over $400,000 within the first 8 months. And then within 18 months, he'd done $1 million in sales from his course. So these are the 7 ways to leverage your book into a 6-figure income and a 7-figure business. We've got passive income from book royalties, leads and sales for your business, done with you or done for you services, consulting, speaking, individual or group coaching, and digital products and courses. Now, I've got a question for you. Has this presentation felt a little bit like this? I know I'm opening up the fire hose, and I hope that you've got a ton of notes. And are you guys tracking with me so far? Awesome. We're coming into the home stretch here, and then I'm going to answer any and all questions that you guys have. So far, I've covered 3 lessons. Lesson number 1, how to quickly and easily write your book in a weekend. Lesson number 2, how to successfully launch that book and make it a bestseller, also bringing in passive income. Lesson number 3 is 7 ways to create a 6-figure income and a 7-figure business with your book. Okay, now I've put together a special program to help you write and publish your book faster. This is my program, Self-Publishing School. So I want to ask for your permission to show that to you. And if that's okay, I will, and I'll take just a couple minutes to do that, and then we're going to go ahead and dive into the rest. Yes. Okay, great. So this is my training program, Self-Publishing School. It's the only tested, proven 90-day online training program that guides you step by step. So you're going to go from blank page to bestseller in 90 days. It's going to save you a ton of time, money, and frustration. And this program, it's an online training program, like I mentioned. It's going to show you how to turn your book into a bestseller and then how to leverage that book for more success, more income, and more freedom. Now, this program is everything that you need to publish your book from A to Z. We've got an online membership portal. We've got video trainings, PDFs, outlines, templates, you name it. It's step by step by step through the whole process. Now, the total value on this course is $2,997. And I'll give you just a brief peek into the course itself. So it's broken up. We get you started. We show you how to position and outline your book. We show you how to write your book quickly and make that book high quality. We show you how to get it edited. We show you how to launch the thing. This is really good material here. We show you how to go through our pain-free publishing. So there's a lot of things that you have to do, a lot of buttons that you have to push. That if you try to do this on your own, like, it's very confusing. And trust me, I've tried to before. It's very confusing. So we make that pretty simple. And then phase 6, okay, you've published your book. Now what? Like, how can you turn this book into more? How can you really maximize this book? How can you sell more books and get more out of it? Now, I know this system gets results because I've used it to write 5, now 6 best-selling books. I've used it to build a 7-figure business and to help thousands of people with their books all in just 2 years. I'll give you a couple examples. So this is David McKay. A lot of people think the 90-day thing is just a shtick. Well, it's not. So he actually wrote 2 books in 89 days. He said, people ask me what I think of SPS all the time. The coaching and support is invaluable. You have to do the work and you have to apply yourself. But if you do it and follow the guidelines, you will succeed. Okay? He said, my book continues to sell an average of 7 to 10 copies per day at $5.99. It's from Emily Rose. She said, out of all the substantial investments that I've made in online business trainings and courses, this was the only program that really took me from A to Z. You delivered what you aimed to. SPS is so precisely laid out and simply structured that if one merely follows the steps, no matter how long it takes, it's a sure model for success. So thank you for reviving my faith in online business programs. This is Christy Whitman. She hit number 9 on the New York Times list. So I want to throw in a couple bonuses, and I've got some special pricing for you guys on this webinar today. So in addition to the main course, I'm going to add in my Easy Editing and Book Finishing Masterclass. This is a $497 value, okay? So this is going to help you easily find and hire a top-notch editor. It's going to save you tons of time and tons of money and help you get your book to the finish line. I'm also going to add in my bestseller book launch blueprint. This is a $997 value. This is the exact, literally day-by-day system for successfully launching your book. So what you need to do and when you need to do it. And I've got my book marketing checklist in there. So just like a pilot's checklist, you can just go through, make sure that you've got everything covered. So to recap what you're going to get lifetime access to Self-Publishing School. I don't think I mentioned that, but this is not a limited time access. You get access for life. It's a $2,997 value. You're going to get my easy editing and book finishing masterclass, the bestseller book launch blueprint, total value $4,491. But I was asking myself, what else can I put in here to make this a no-brainer? Okay, to make it to where it's just like, okay, this just makes so much sense. And what else might you need to be successful? Well, how about some accountability and community? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in a free month of my mastermind community and accountability group. Now, this is normally $47 per month. You're going to get a free month. So what you're going to get here is access to a supportive community of people who are on the same journey as you. You're going to get paired up with an accountability buddy. This is our funny word for an accountability partner. Now, we have weekly training and weekly Q&A calls with me and the community manager, okay? You're going to be able to come in there. It's on video just like this. You ask any questions that you have. Now, we're going to promote your book to the community when you launch. So that means built-in sales, built-in reviews, and built-in publicity behind your book. And then you're going to get access to in-depth mini courses on every facet of book publishing, okay? We're constantly rolling new ones out here. Anything that you could possibly want to learn, we've got little mini courses on that. This is an example from Jyotsna. She said, why SPS is worth 100 times its price. So this is her accountability buddy, which is from New Zealand. I know we've got some New Zealanders in the house. This is Stephen Parr, and they both finished their books and wrote their books through the program, and then they were able to meet up in India. So cool. We have meetups happening like this all the time, all around the country and all around the world. So to recap what you're going to get: lifetime access to Self-Publishing School, our easy editing and book finishing masterclass, the bestseller book launch blueprint, and a free month of the community. The total value is $4,538. Now, I'm not going to charge you that. I've got some special pricing because you're on this webinar, but let's pretend for a second that I was going to. And let's pretend that all this did was start bringing in passive income every single month, just like, you know, the several people, all of the people that I showed you. Would it be worth that price? I think it would be, and I'd say absolutely. If all this did was save you tons of time, frustration, and money, and if all this did was help you get your book out there, would it be worth it? If all this did was bring you thousands of dollars in business, just like the many, many examples that you saw, would it be worth that price? And if all this did was help you build a legacy and share your wisdom with the world, would it be worth it? Well, you can see why this is a good deal at $4,538. For the general public, it sells for $19.97. So you can go on the main Self-Publishing School website. This is what it sells for right now. But because you're on this webinar, I want to do something special. I want to offer you a special deal. Now, you can get started today on this webinar for just $9.97. Now, all you have to do right now is just head on over to self-publishingschool.com/discount. Okay? Now, I'm going to drop this into the chat here. All you have to do is click that link, and then you can either click the link or just type this into your browser. If you get started today on this webinar, I'm going to break it down for you, give you all of the things that I just mentioned for $997, or we've got some payment plans available there as well. Now, I've also got a fast action bonus. This is for the first 5 people to enroll right now on this webinar. Now, this is going to go fast. We've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people on this webinar. I said we had 2,203 people register, so you can tell that's the exact number. This is going to go very quickly. But for the first 5 people that enroll, you're going to get access to a 2-hour live group coaching call with me. Now, this is going to be a very, very small group, and I'm going to be personally coaching on video. Ask any questions that you want, okay? I don't do this. I don't do one-on-one coaching. This is a $2,000 value. So for the first 5 people, go to self-publishingschool.com/discount. Go down on the page, Click the button, fill out your information, submit your order. The first 5 people will get that. We do have a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you sign up and for any reason you don't like it, just let me know and we'll give you your money back. Also, in addition to that, I'm putting my money where my mouth is here. We have a bestseller guarantee. I've never seen anyone do this. This is how confident I am in this material and how confident I am that it works. If you follow the steps laid out in this program and you don't hit number 1 in at least one category on Amazon, we will give you a full and complete refund, okay? You have to follow the steps and you have to show your work, because we know that if you show your work, you will get number 1, okay? So I stand behind this. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Some people ask, will I make my money back on this investment? That's a fair question, and that's a question that I would ask if I were in your shoes right now, because this is an investment in you and your future and your family's future and your business's future. So is this a worthwhile investment? Well, let's do some simple math here. How much could you earn with self-publishing school? Well, let's say you sell a book for $4, which is an ebook, and that's a relatively low-priced ebook. Let's say that book sells 5 copies per day. Well, if you look out over 12 months, that's $7,200. Now, you saw that David McKay, he said he brought in over $10,000 from his books. There's tons of other student examples that I gave you that were more than that, but we're going to go with $7,000, okay? Now, let's do some additional math. Let's say you write and publish another book. Same result. Because what people realize is it's like learning how to ride a bike. Once you do it once, you can do it over and over and over again, and it's very, very easy. Well, now we're working up to a better sum. Now, just for fun, I'm going to throw this in here, and this is for advanced students only. So this certainly is not for everyone, okay? This is for those people who are overachievers, type A, who just want to go further. So say you have a product, a digital product that you sell for $50. You sell 5 of them per month. Well, over the course of the year, that earn you about $3,000. Or let's say you're a speaker. I know we had, a lot of speakers and over the, on the webinar today. So let's say you're a speaker or consultant and you have gigs that are worth $1,000. Now you saw Hannah, she had a $3,000 speaking gig instantly after completing the program. You saw Kelsey, I forget what her figure was, but it was at least a couple $1,000s. So let's say you do one of those per month. Well, there you have it. $29,400 over the course of the year. Now, I'm not saying these results are typical. I'm not saying that you're going to get these results. But what I am saying is that even if you see a fraction of these results, you can tell how worth it this is. Okay, let's say 10% of these results, which is $2,940, right? That would easily pay for the price of the program. I'll give you a couple more examples here. This is from Ashley Emma. She said, I just got my first royalty payment and I'm crying. I'm so happy. I just got paid by Amazon over double what I expected. So happy. Earlier today, my bank account was in the negative. Not anymore. Does that sound familiar, Chandler? No more peanut butter sandwiches. Don't give up if you're just starting. This is so worth it. I already got my ROI on this course and then some. This is Otakar Kletke. She said, my book is paid for the SPS course in 17 days or less. Okay? Pretty remarkable. So if you'll just head on over right now to self-publishingschool.com/discount, you can claim that discount. And you can also, if you're one of the first 5 people, you'll get access to that 2-hour live coaching session with me. Now, I held an event called the Self-Publishing Success Summit a few months back, and we had over 30,000 people sign up for this event. And the question that a lot of people, or the question that I asked every single speaker at the end was, what do you recommend or what's your advice for someone thinking about writing their first book? Well, I'll tell you what they said. So Pat Flynn of Smart Passive Income, he said, get someone to hold you accountable. I think that's the most important thing. Well, he worked with an SPS student to help him write and launch his book, Will It Fly? Crystal Payne, she said, you have your own unique gifts, skills, talents, passions, life experience, and story. Own those gifts. Walk into those gifts and share it with the world because the world needs it. Gary Vaynerchuk said, everyone in the world that can do it should do it. And he's talking about writing a book. Jeff Goins said, well, I would tell them that they should sign up for Self-Publishing School. It's a great program and it'll get you to where you want to go. But you don't have to take their word for it. You can hear directly from students. So this is Eileen Wilder. She said, go for it, even if you don't know what you're going to write about. She joined the program. She had no idea what she was going to write about. She wrote her book, published it successfully. Then a publisher noticed that. She got signed to a publishing deal. A few months later, she's walking into Barnes & Noble. It's front and center on the display, all by first making that leap, deciding to join us at Self-Publishing School, even though she didn't know what she was going to write about. This is from Heidi. She said, when I first saw Chandler's 3 videos, I've got to say I was his biggest skeptic. It took me 2 weeks to decide to spend the money and purchase this course, and only because I decided it didn't matter if I never got the money back did I proceed. Fast forward 4 months, and I've got to say it was one of the best decisions that I've made. I've achieved something I always wanted to do. I wrote and published a book. If my sales hold, I'll have a $2,000 month for my first full month. So from one of the biggest skeptics, I am now one of SPS's biggest advocates. I get asked a lot, does the program work for fiction, and does it work for children's books? Yes, it absolutely does. This is from one of our students. We have fiction-specific coaches. One of my students said, this program works for fiction writers. I know that a lot of SPSers are in the nonfiction category. This can be intimidating to someone that's socially shy, awkward, and has the unfortunate habit of weighing yourself against others. Trust me, though, this program works for fiction just as well as nonfiction. Lastly, this is Emma Sumner. Now, this is my final plea to you, and that's that if an 8-year-old can do it, you definitely can do it, okay? This is Emma Sumner. She wrote and published her book, The Fairies of Waterfall Island. This book brought in $4,000 in book sales in 3 months. She was able to raise money for autism awareness through this book. She got featured on all the major TV stations in her area, so Fox, CBS, ABC. She was in major magazines, online publications, you name it. She did a book signing with 10,000 people there. And now her book is being read in classes, okay, in English classes, and she's reading at a 6th grade level, all because she went through self-publishing school and because she published her book. Pretty cool. So there's 2 types of people on this webinar right now. The first type are the action takers. So there's someone who says, Chandler, look, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to put my money where my mouth is and move this thing forward and get started on my journey to this book. Those people invest in self-publishing school. They start taking action. They realize that by investing, they're going to save tons of time, money, and frustration. Okay, the result here, those are the people who are going to become a best-selling author in 90 days. They're going to make passive income and grow their business. Okay, they're going to experience more freedom, more autonomy to do what they want when they want. Now, there's other types of people who are excuse makers. Now, these are people who say, oh, well, it's not the right time, or, you know, I've got a vacation coming up, or, you know, I'll probably just join later, maybe next year when you open up enrollment again. Now, I wish this weren't true, but every time I talk to these people, it's months later, and either now they're joining, or they just say, hey, yeah, I haven't made any progress, okay? So they stay stuck exactly where they're at. So the choice is yours. I really hope that you'll invest in self-publishing school. Just a recap, here's what you're gonna get. It's all the things that I mentioned before. Total value is $4,538. You can get started today for just $997. Like I mentioned, we also have payment plans available to break it up for you, to break this into payments if that's helpful as well. So I'm going to go ahead and break this up into a Q&A, okay? And so go ahead and submit in the chat box any questions that you have for me, and I'm going to answer those questions. Now, a couple important things. If you haven't already, go ahead and click the button. It should be over by the chat box. In fact, I'll load it up right now. Or you can go to self-publishingschool.com/discount. Just go ahead and head on over there. Click the button. Looks like we've already got people signing up, which is awesome. This is great. Great to see you guys joining us. So go and head on over there. Put in the info and go and sign up. I'd love to have you inside the program. Now, if you have any questions at all, there's 2 things. So obviously, I'm about to answer a bunch of questions, but there's 2 options you have as well. You can email support@self-publishingschool.com, or if you just want to talk to someone, if you're having trouble processing your order, just give us a call. That's the easiest way to do it. We've got people standing by right now waiting for your call. All you have to do, is call 864-729-3833. Okay, that's 864-729-3833, and you see the number there on the screen. Now, while you're doing this, and while I'm waiting for questions to come in, because there's a ton of questions coming in, I want to tell you a quick story. So, a couple years ago, I was watching some training similar to this, and I was in your shoes. And a lot of times when people they decide not to invest in something like this, it's either because you don't trust me, so you don't trust that I'm an expert on this, or you don't trust that I can get you the result that you're looking for, or you don't trust yourself. Right now, if you don't trust me, by all means, please don't purchase the program. It's definitely not going to be a good fit. Now, for the majority of people, it's the second one. It's that you don't trust yourself. Now, this is perfectly reasonable, and this happens to so many people. Is you're like, oh man, well, I've bought a program like this before, and I haven't put in the work, or I'm not sure if I have what it takes. All these self-doubt starts to creep in. So a couple years ago, I was exactly in your shoes. I was on the fence about this program called The Foundation by Dane Maxwell, and it was how to start a software company, or how to start an online company. And I remember thinking to myself, I saw the videos, I saw the training, and I had actually went on the order form, and I filled out everything, and then I just hovered over that button, right? Maybe you've experienced this before, where you're thinking about doing it, you're like, man, I don't know. It's like buying an airplane ticket, right? And then you're like, man, I don't know if I should do this. Let me check everything again to make sure. Let me think about it some more. And I remember hovering over that and then actually closing out the screen and going away and thinking, man, I'm not going to do it. I don't have enough time. I don't have the money right now. All these excuses started to pop up. But eventually something overcame me, and I said, you know what? I've got to do this. I've got to invest in myself. I've got to learn from someone who's been where I want to go. So I made the leap. I went back to the order form. I put in all my information. I pressed that submit button. It was for a much higher investment than I'm talking about here. It was for, it was a multiple. I think it was $5,000. Now, I pulled the trigger on that, and it was a few $100s per month in payments. And I remember at the time it was more expensive than my rent. But here's what happened. That was the best decision that I ever made. If I hadn't joined that program, I wouldn't have dropped out of school. I wouldn't have started a business. My business certainly would not be doing 7 figures. I ended up learning so much from that guy, and it's led me to where I am now. So it was such a pivotal decision where if I wouldn't have made that decision, I wouldn't have experienced all these things. But because I did, it made all the difference. So that's what I really just encourage you today is, if you're thinking about doing this, if you're on the fence, give it a try. We've got multiple guarantees. I'm taking all the risk here. You take none of the risk. You just got to try it out, okay? So if you're thinking about doing that, head on over to self-publishingschool.com/discount, or just give us a call if you have questions. It's 864-729-3833. Now, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and dive into questions. Okay, let's see. Is Jeff Goins an alum? He's not, but he's a great friend of mine. Does this walk you through ebooks only, or also how to print on demand? Great question. So this works for ebooks. This works for audiobooks. This works for print copybooks. So I'll actually walk you through all types of books. That's a great question. Is this only available to people in the States? No, it's definitely not. And so I've got people asking about if English is a second language. So we've had multiple people go through the program. I mean, we have students all over the world. We've had some people who English is a second language and they just decide to write their book in their native language. Some people who English is a second language and they decided to write their book in English. So it's available to all countries. and it's available to any language that you might speak. Can the course be a tax write-off? Yes, definitely. If you run your own business, or if you have a, if you're a contractor or anything like that, you can certainly use it as a tax write-off, and it's an investment in education for yourself. Do I use CreateSpace? Yes, I do, and it's fantastic. Is there fine print for the money back guarantee that I can look at? Yeah, for sure. You just click on over to the page, go to the bottom, look at the terms and conditions. It's all there for you. Some people would say, oh, I want to see this in written. Yeah, it's perfect. Go see it right there. Kenda, I have a book ready to publish. How much faster can I go from published to making money if I buy your program? Way faster, Kenda. The reality is most people, if you're doing this on your own, it'll take you years, or 6 months, a year, 2 years, like it take forever. But the big thing about this program is that we have accountability and coaching. So we're going to push your butt to the finish line, right? Like there's one thing that we're really good at. It's getting people to the finish line, and our success rate is higher than any other program that I've ever seen. And it's because we hold people accountable. So if you're just looking to be entertained, or if you're just looking to buy a course that you can put on your shelf of steam, right? You buy it and makes you feel better, which I'm sure this is not you. But if that is what you're looking for, then this is not going to be a good course for you. But if you're looking to be challenged, and if you're looking to actually get a tangible result, so I'm talking a book published, the book becoming a bestseller, and the book bringing in money for you month after month, then this is going to be a great program for you. And so you're going to get there much faster. A lot of people ask that. They say, oh, well, I've already got a book published, or I've already finished my book. Can I just buy the marketing material? And the answer to that is no. It's an all-in-one system. And it's important that you follow all of the steps. So we've had, I had a person, they'd written and published 30 books, and then they joined the program. And her book that she published through the program was more successful than all of the 30 books combined. Pretty powerful stuff. Oh, somebody said, I see a Greenville, South Carolina area code and the phone number. I currently live there. That's awesome. Yeah, that's where I'm from, actually. Let's see. Alan says, when you talk about royalties, is that just book sales, since we wouldn't be going through a publisher? That's a great question. So royalties is money that you earn from a book. A lot of people attach a publisher to that, so that they like to think that the only way you get royalties is through a publisher. They think it's one and the same, but you get paid directly by Amazon. Now, that's the good thing about Self-Publishing School, is that you own 100% of the rights, and we don't stick our hands into your pockets. So you earn all of the money. So you're earning the royalties from that book. So you're earning the revenue off of the book sales, and it goes directly to you from those book sales. This is a great question. Yeah, Igor says, I'm from Brazil and I don't know if I should write in Portuguese or in English. Will this course work for me either way? Yes, it will work for you either way. As long as you understand English, which, I imagine that you do, because you just typed that in perfect English, and because I've been speaking English this entire webinar. But as long as you do, then it's a perfect fit, and you can choose either language, and we'll actually coach you up and walk you through that decision inside the program. Okay, let's see. How does the program adapt to other countries? Yeah, so well, the good news is that we've got students all around the world. So Amazon is largely similar in all of the different countries. So the methods work the same, and you can actually publish in all the countries, and that's what we recommend for all of our students is you publish your book in all available countries where you can sell it, because that just means more revenue for you. Oh, this is a great question from Corey. Says, can you give examples of authors you coached who wrote books that were not about business and productivity? Yeah, definitely, for sure. So I gave Steve Windsor as an example, who was a fiction author. Let's see. I mean, Emma Sumner wrote a book, The Fairies of Waterfall Island, which is definitely not about business or productivity. That we've had people write books on religion, on spirituality. We've had people write books about working out and about weight loss. We've had people write books all across the spectrum when it comes to fiction. We've had, your standard self-help books. Like, there's so many examples. A few that I've given on this, and also more examples that are on that page. So if you go to self-publishingschool.com/discount, you'll actually hear from people who have written a myriad of different books on there. So I hope that's helpful. Oh, another great question. Phil says, hey, Chandler, great presentation. Do you think this would work for a memoir? Absolutely. Yeah, we've had people write memoirs, and we actually have some advice on memoirs. And if you search self-publishing school memoir, we have an article on our blog too that tells you more about kind of like, things to consider when you're writing a memoir. So yeah, it absolutely does. Okay, let's see. Oh, the great question. Does this course help with the launch group? Yes. We support each other's books. Obviously, we promote every book launch that happens to the group. So the group rallies behind these books. That's a huge value of being in the in the mastermind community. It's a huge value of it. But we teach you how to create how to create a launch team. Some of the people in the group will join your launch team as well as support you. Ella says, can you talk more about the choice of subject and whether it has to be something overtly marketable or how to make a passion project into a seller? Absolutely. So I've got kind of a 3-step process that I walk through when I'm choosing a book idea. This is something I go through in the course. And so basically what I want to know is which, and this is just kind of paraphrasing that because that would take a while to teach. But what I want to know is, what book idea are you most passionate about? What do you have the most content for that you could write the fastest? And which one are you going to enjoy writing? Okay, because if the biggest hurdle is getting it to the finish line. Then from there, once you get the book to the finish line, it's okay. How can I market this book successfully? Which we're obviously going to show you that via a launch team. But it doesn't have to be like this sexy topic, right? People are buying books on all sorts of topics, and sometimes actually the topics that aren't getting as much coverage, that's a good thing because there's less competition in those categories for those topics. So I'll walk you through that, and it doesn't have to be like this marketable self-help like business book for it to sell well or for you to make money off of it. Kenda says, do I have to use all seven leverage techniques to make a living for my books, or will 3 or 4 make a living too? You can use one. When I first started, I just used the royalties off of my book. I didn't have this master plan about creating a business, but guess what? I started making thousands of dollars a month. And so that starts to change things. And that starts to pay the bills. And I think to myself, oh, wow, I've got 4,000 people on my email list who want to buy stuff from me. So what other products and services could I create that would solve their needs, that would solve their problems and help them? And so then it kind of just spun off and built into a business and into those other things that I mentioned. Sensei says, I'm 17,000 words into my book and I need this kick in the ass. Good. That's what it will be. And that's what the program will be. We will get you to the finish line. Becky, how long is the program? Is the payment a one-time payment for life? So you get lifetime access to Self-Publishing School, and you get a free month to the mastermind community. If you want to stay in the mastermind community, there's an ongoing fee that's with that, because there's a lot of extra things that you get and a lot of extra content and things that you get there. So that's certainly an option if you want to do that. But unlike a lot of courses where it's like we will relaunch a brand new one every year, we're just constantly updating the one you have. So we're not going to make you pay again to purchase Self-Publishing School. We just continue to make it better and charge you nothing more. Now, to answer your other question, how long does it take to go through the program? I like to view this like running a race. So if you've ever ran a 5K or a 10K, then you know that there's a pace bunny, right? And so the pace bunny, it's just like if you want to run a 7-minute mile, you run with this person. If you want to run an 8-minute mile, you run with this person. They've got their pace bunnies where if you want to run at a certain pace, then you run with that group. Well, it's very similar in Self-Publishing School. So our pace bunny is 90 days. If you're committed to doing this and you're committed to spending 30 minutes to an hour per day, which everybody has 30 minutes to an hour per day that they can spend. You might just have to give up Netflix a little bit, or you might have to give up some social media time, or you might have to wake up a half an hour early. There's some sacrifices. If you don't think you have the time, you have the time. So if you're willing to commit and do that 30 minutes to an hour a day, then you will go from blank page to best-selling author in 90 days. All you have to do is commit to the program, commit to the process. Okay? So if you want to do that, great. But if you have a vacation coming up, and you know that, oh man, I'm going to be off the rails for a week, that's fine. Pause and start as you see fit and run your own race. We have, David McKay, he wrote and published 2 books in 89 days. We have some people that take 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. They run their own race. So don't feel like you're going to get in here and be rushed to finish your book, because you're not. We want you to run at your own pace. All right. Excuse me. Drink a little bit of water here. I'm doing a lot of talking. Corey says, can't seem to find the enrollment page. So click the Learn More button. There should be an orange Learn More button that pops up in your chat. And if you can't see that, then just type it in your search bar. Make sure you type self-publishingschool.com/discount. If you just do self-publishingschool.com, it's not going to show up. So self-publishingschool.com/discount. Now, if you're on the fence, if you're considering this, I really encourage that you join us. This is, like I said, Self-Publishing School is available year-round. It's just double the price. So it's $19.97. So if you want to get this special offer, then head on over to self-publishingschool.com/discount. Right? And now this is going to redirect you to a page where it'll have a different URL string. So it might, this might not show up in the actual thing as this URL, but this is kind of your short link to get there. So go ahead and head on over there, click the button, sign up, go ahead and join us. If you have any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Email us at support@self-publishingschool.com or give us a call. This is the best, fastest, and easiest way to get your questions answered. Just call us right now at 864-729-3833. Okay, so go ahead and join us if you haven't already. Looks like we've got people joining us. And if you'll just actually comment too and let me know once you've joined us, I'd love to welcome you into the program. And I'm going to take just a couple more minutes to answer a few more questions. Peter, where do I find budget billing options? So click over. So you click to this page, then you're going to go down. You're going to choose the Pro option. You're going to click there, and there's an order form, and that's where it'll toggle. And you can toggle to pay up front, or you can toggle to break it out over the payment options. Oh, great question. Mike says, I'm an older person, so not hot. I'm an older person, not so hot on computer skills. Is there a reliable human interface for communication? Yes, absolutely. So, couple things, Mike. We've had a lot of quote older people go through the program and be absolutely fine. If you're tech savvy enough to get on this webinar and to show up for this webinar, then you have all the tech capabilities that you need to be successful in the program. Here's the good news too, is we've got support. So you have a lot of support in this program. You've got the group, you've got your accountability buddy. If you're in we have a higher version of the program, then you have a one-on-one coach. If you have support, like our customer support team, you can email or call at any time. Well, you can email them at any time. You can call within business hours, obviously, but you'll get their help and support guiding you through anything that you need. We make this user friendly. I'm a simple guy, and so I like to make things simple because I know that I'm not very tech savvy. It took me forever how to even figure out how to upload my book onto Amazon. So tech doesn't come easy to me, so I know the feeling. Pat, when does this start? I'm going away back in a little while. Also, I already have written stuff. Maybe it's just a question of needing time to integrate and just reread my stuff. Yeah, you can start when and wherever you want. So that's the thing I would encourage you is just go ahead and make the decision to join the program, and you can start at any time. So if you want to start in a few weeks, cool. When you're back from a trip, then that's perfect. If you want to start tomorrow, I mean, if you want to start this afternoon, like as soon as you sign up, sorry, I got a little bit of background noise, but as soon as you sign up, we're going to send you your login details. We'll get you in the group as soon as possible. Make sure that you have everything that you need to be successful. All right, tons of questions pouring in. I'm going to answer just a couple more. Anne says, could you answer my question regarding fiction? I don't see your question regarding fiction. There's a ton of questions coming in. So if you could just repost that. And by the way, if I haven't answered your question and you asked it a long time ago, it's probably just buried because there's so many of them. So just repost it. How do you have the final design of the book? We'll work with a formatter, and I work with a designer. And we'll actually show you how to find either one of those people in the course. Sonia says, how do I get a book idea? We'll walk you through that, and that's actually the first module of the course. William says, hey, was wondering if I could upgrade to the master level later. I'm very pinched for money right now. So I don't want to confuse too many people. We have a higher price version of this program that has coaching involved, and you certainly can, William. There's one time only opportunity at the 30-day mark. If you say, hey, I want to take this to the next level and get a coach, you can certainly do that. Okay, let's see. Patrick says, I have read that self-publishers have more to worry about than those who publish traditionally, i.e. self-publishers have to worry about printing, copies, marketing, book design, etc. How true is that? Well, here's the deal, Patrick. So obviously that's kind of, it's something that's been hyperbolized and marketed by publishers because they want you to sign their publishing contract, right? So it is true that you have things that you're going to have to do yourself, but I can tell you, from knowing people and working both sides of the fence, that like if you go through a publisher, it's going to be a very, 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 very frustrating experience if you do this to yourself. If you do this yourself, it's going to be much easier. And the good news is, like, we're going to walk you through how to do everything. So it's super easy, and you make way more money because you take that leap and because you do it yourself, or because you just pay someone to do it for you. Cool. Iris says, Chandler, I think your program is great, but what happens if I already have my book and want to purchase to revise the steps? I plan to continue writing more books on the subject, and your guidelines are easier than the first one that took me years to finish. Well, yes, then check out the program, because I kind of mentioned, touched on this earlier. But you know, it's we can walk you through the whole process, and we're going to show you how to do this and how to do it correctly, even if you've already written or if you've already finished or published a book. We're going to walk you through all the steps, and then it's certainly good to know how to do it, because then you can do it again and again and again. And like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people who have joined who have written multiple books, and then they come in and they either relaunch their failing book, or they start over and they're way more successful because they go through the program. Nadine, is there actual money to be made on children's books? For sure. I mean, there's tons of money to be made on children's books. The top making authors on all of Amazon are all fiction authors. Okay, so I like to, the comparison between fiction and nonfiction. Nonfiction is like in baseball, you have players who hit base hits. Nonfiction is like, it's easy to have a success and make some decent money. Whereas fiction, it's harder to have a success and make money, but if you do have success, it's going to be a massive success, right? So all of the top earners on Amazon, they're all fiction authors, right? So they hit the home runs, whereas nonfiction people are hitting base hits. Now think about for children's books, especially if you go for a series, like parents are always looking to read their kids' books night after night after night, and they need more content. So why not continue on with a series of books that they've already been reading to their kids? And here's your fiction question. Great. Excuse me. So my question is how a fiction author can work with the program as the creative process is longer. Yeah, certainly. So the creative process will be longer. So you just adjust those to your timeline, right? We have many fiction authors in the program. We call them our fictioneers. We actually have a fiction specific coach. There's so many options. And if you're in the fiction genre, you can and will be successful. Right? So we work with that, show you how to work with that, and still make sure that you're successful. Okay, I know we have a lot more questions. I'm gonna have to wrap this up, unfortunately. I know I've already went a few minutes longer than I told you at the top of the webinar, but it's just because I want to answer all your questions. So there's a lot more questions. I know that. I'm sorry that I didn't get to answer everyone's questions. There's so many people on here and only a limited time. So if you're with me now, then I would just encourage that you head on over to self-publishingschool.com/discount. Go ahead and join us. You're going to click the button. It'll take you over to a site, scroll down, click to enroll, fill out your information, then we'll send you all of your details, send you your login info, we'll get you in the program. You'll be on your way to writing and publishing your book. You'll be on your way to more income, more freedom, to do what you want, when you want. You'll be on your way to a better business, all of those things. You'll be on your way towards that by making this decision to invest in Self-Publishing School. If you still have questions, please reach out to us. Either email us at support@self-publishingschool.com or just give us a call right now at 864-729-3833. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope that you've got lots of notes from this. I hope that you learned a ton, and I really hope that I'll see you inside Self-Publishing School. So hope to see you inside the program, and I'll talk to you real soon. Take care.